5,670 pounds, the J-Flight 242 half-ton towable family camping slide-out bunkhouse with camp kitchen and the industry's best 2+3 year warranty here at Haylett RV for another season. And I love what they did with her. They took a floor plan that was already good and they made it great with a beautiful wave of very low dollar but very high value revisions. There is a lot of good going on with this floor plan, but the full ability to access the RV and navigate through it with the slide closed is definitely one of those handy things, especially on a shorter model like this. I suspect you probably went a little shorter for, you know, towability reasons. You can get back through, you can get to the kitchen. They put the doors for the, you know, pantry area here on what I would consider the correct inward facing side so that you can open them even when the slide's closed. And then you get in here, you see that you can access this big full bathroom with that just monstrously large shower that we'll look at in more detail in just a minute. As with all J-Flights, this has a 6'9" interior, which is something that you're finding more commonly in the industry, but not typically at a, what I call a smarter class, you know, a simplified, intelligently equipped series of travel trailers. Usually you still find a lot of 6.5 foot tall stuff here. Now, Catalina's good about doing a 6'9" interior too, but, you know, they each have their own different qualities. What we're looking at here, little details I really like on these. Like you've got really aggressive blackout shades, you've got a big breeze window here, but it's also fully framed out so you're really blocking the sunshine. Now that big like 7-foot true U-dinette will fold down into a big sleeper. We'll have a peek at that in a little bit. It's the little updates, touches, and revisions on these compared to the previous generation though that I mean, they've really got this dialed in. Like the storage doors on the end of the dinette, it's such a simple, innocuous, basic feature, but in this class and price point, it's essentially an unheard of kind of feature. Similarly over here, you've got that. We already kind of glanced in it when the slide was closed, but here's a better angle on it, I think, to give you a clearer understanding of the like the size of this storage capacity. It's in a great centralized position. It could easily be kitchen pantry storage. You could use it as bunk clothing storage, linen space. I mean, it could be a combination thereof, frankly. We'll come back in a second to see the kitchen all opened up, but note the SLX series of J-Flights actually use cabinet ducted heating versus floor ducted. The idea there being this is not intended to really be like a super extended season camper, like a full-blood J-Flight with a thermal package. This is a spring, summer, fall casual camper. I'm going to be using this while the kids are out of school, then I'm going to put it back in storage. That's kind of what this is designed for. One of the things that is really nice here, though, as we're passing by the air conditioner, I don't want to forget to mention the fact that all of our air vents can be closed and turned individually. And again, that's not a common factor or feature that you would find normally in this classification of travel trailer. Now, little details too. Jayco's been good about this for several years, but separate curtains for the upper and lower bunks. That is a very easily missed and overlooked feature, as is the thickness and grade of the bunk mattresses themselves. Jayco's have like twice the industry standard thickness on their bunk mattresses, even here in an SLX series. So these bunks are rated for 300 pounds per sleeping space. That means this being a double bunk has a 600-pound capacity. And they put this thing they call the dangler right in front of you. And I'm still too much of a child to not laugh every single time I say its name. I can admit that about myself. Now, look where they don't expect you to look. Under the bunks, and you still see plywood. And that's just what I call the Jayco advantage. That's what they do. We kind of saw this bathroom briefly earlier, but again, I said I wanted to look at it in more detail. Little details too, like the fact that our main cabin lights in both the living room and the bathroom have a switch to activate them, which is nice with this being a taller series of trailer. But every light can still be controlled individually, which is really handy if you're camping off-grid. Now you can see that you have both a power vent fan as well as a skylight and shower surround paneling. And remember, this shower is absolutely enormous. If your kid gets into some crud, man, and you gotta get in there and you gotta just aggressively start scrubbing, you have the space to do it. Or if you're like me and you're just a little bit taller than the average bear, this extra ceiling height means I don't have to duck in the shower. Now don't get me wrong, you spend 8 minutes in the shower, I can duck here, I'll get through it, I'll be just fine, but I really like that I don't have to. As promised, I want us to take a look at that big sleeper dinette, but on the way, notice another of the more recent updates on these J-Flights, and it's something I've personally been begging for multiple, like 2 to 3 years. I've been like, can I please, Jayco, pay you extra money to have sliding pocket doors for the bedroom instead of curtains? And instead of making it optional and costing extra money, they just standardized it. And when they standardize it, they control the quality through repetition, and they control the cost because now they don't have to juggle part A versus part B. That is something I think is one of the more significant but easily overlooked features. Like, you almost take that for granted nowadays, and I'm glad it's there. All of our cabinetry, by the way, is pocket screwed, meaning it's a lumber core cabinet. Basically, this has the exact same type of cabinetry as a Jayco North Point, which carries, by the way, a full-time living warranty. This cabinetry is built the same fashion. Clutter-cutting shoe garage right by the door. Right above that is our entertainment center. You are finding a lot of brands are using a Bluetooth stereo with HDMI outlets. This is Bluetooth. It has a stereo. It has HDMI. They actually even run the wiring for you, but it is still DVD. So that's just one of those extra little things that just, I say like Jayco doing Jayco things. Sometimes I say Rockwood doing Rockwood things. That's sort of like the DNA of the brands. That's really what, those little details are the things that help define one from the other. Good look at the storage space before we move on to the bedroom. You can see some easy reach outlets, maybe a neat little coffee maker corner right there behind the sink. That's a sealed edge kitchen counter, by the way, with a nice space for a wastebasket below. Yet again, that's another feature that maybe a first-time RVer wouldn't realize. They want to make sure it checks the box. It checks it off the list. And checking the boxes, that's going to kind of become my mantra. You look at all these different products, and they each check different boxes. I think this one does a good job of checking the, bare necessities, the daily use features and functions. You find all of those are addressed here. Like, did you notice also those were plywood drawers? They're, again, very consistent and good on the quality and construction of things like their cabinetry. Now, they've added the little accent light above the shelf up here. That is on a separate switch. If you don't like it, don't use it. But I think it fits the color scheme, that platinum and blue that's really kind of the dominant trend in the business right now. Again, notice the windows are fully framed, and these are big breeze windows with wide open side stands, which is a really nice handy touch. And speaking of wide open, you have a wide open underbed and pass-through storage compartment. And once again, in this class of trailer, finding things like a easy lift bed deck with those struts, not always common. Also, now you notice there's no bedspread on here. This is something, bedspreads are something we've almost always added to these, but here's the thing, guys. For the cost of a bedspread, instead of a bedspread that chances are you're not going to use, I can add a roof access ladder to the back of this RV for the same cost. So which one would you rather have, a bedspread or a ladder? Considering you're probably not going to replace the ladder, but you are probably going to replace the bedspread. Also, this has a handy little inside-outside TV bracket if you want to have a little bit of outdoor entertainment should you choose to add a TV to your Jayco RV here from Haylett RV. Case in point, there you go. It marries up right to the outside of the trailer. This is located right above those tires, which by the way are best-in-class Goodyear Endurance radials, rated for up to 87 miles an hour. And as we back up past the TV hookups and tires toward the front of the trailer, we see the optional stable steps that you can now apply even here to the SLX series of J-Flights. You are going to find us doing that pretty much across the board here at Haylett RV. Another easily missed little detail. Previously, only the full J-Flights did this. They actually add a handy little trim ring around anywhere that there'd be exposed wood in the baggage door opening itself to make sure you're not going to get water on that and cause any sort of rot. And again, huge big front compartment there, with that easy lift. You see that it's just cavernous in size. And those are wider, taller doors on both sides of the trailer, which is a really nice, handy feature. So if you got bigger cargo, you can get to it from either side of the camper or pack it up as you please. Up front there on the tongue, you see a simple side solar prep. So if you've got a little portable panel, this thing would be easy to take off-grid for extended periods. How long kind of depends on how you use the camper and how much sunshine there is where you're parked. It's sort of one of those unanswerable questions. Now, I mentioned previously that this has the best warranty available in its class in the industry. That is no joke. There's no one else offering the 2+3 warranty that Jayco has here. there's little reasons for it, and there's a bunch of little reasons. So, like, the fact that this is on a totally custom engineered chassis is very, very cool, and they're not necessarily the only ones to do this. They're not necessarily the only ones to do anything that I point out to you other than the warranty. It's the fact that they do all of those things that makes this so outstanding. Why the J-Flight is the best-selling thing in its class since 2005 and counting. It's remarkable. And this new Platinum generation, it just looks fantastic. So this engineered chassis, what it does is the whole tongue integrates into the chassis itself. And you can see how they even wrap the diamond plate down to cover the front of the chassis to make sure stones off your vehicle aren't going to cause a ding, which could cause surface corrosion, which is completely harmless, but it sure don't look good. Then there's these little things. The removable foot peg for that tongue jack up front, that will save you so much cranking on those jacks. It's just not even funny. You can see that we have tinted UV windows right here, or UV tinted windows, as it were. A UV window, I don't even know what that would be, but you get the idea. And unless you press your nose against that glass, you just can't see through it. Plus, it has that blackout shade that will also help prevent furniture fade and keep the RV cooler. Now, if we take a knee down here, any of these SLXs are available with an optional enclosed underbelly, and you see that that is one of those things that, again, we offer here at Haylett RV. Like, basically 10 times out of 10, there's very rare instances one will show up without it. We can get into the reasons why, but that's basically a different topic for a different day. Oh, there's one more thing I was going to point out while we were down here. I don't know. I got RV ADHD or something like that, and I lost my train of thought. It went straight off the rails. Probably the kind of thing I should edit out, but that's not the kind of thing I do. On the flip side of that slide out, we see that this has a full outside shower with hot and cold water. Again, in this class, in this budget price point range, that's not something you typically find. Similarly, all LED tail and marker lights with reverse travel lighting is a nice touch. These standard have a spare tire. That's interestingly an optional piece of equipment on a lot of trailers. I just couldn't even imagine that. Oh, I remember what I was going to say in the underbelly. Kind of like, for the cost of a bedspread, you could put a ladder on this trailer. For the cost of a bedspread, you can basically enclose the underbelly. So, I mean, again, which one would you want? Because enclosing the underbelly or adding a ladder, or both, as we like to do here at Haylett RV most of the time, makes a lot more sense to me than a bedspread. You're probably, I've found that like 9 out of 10 people end up replacing anyway. We're trying to be smarter. Now, I think it looks prettier. I think it's more attractive from a sales standpoint with the bedspread, but it doesn't make sense. It's not functional, you know, in comparison to these other things. The same cannot be said for their outside camp kitchen here, though. They've nailed their low-profile camp kitchens on these. The fact that it has a real sink with a real drain into a holding tank instead of just the dog dish, as well as the outside cooker, and the little kind of college kid mini fridge, those things are fantastic, you know, and it just slides away when you're not using it. Now, we've also got a power awning with LED lighting. It's also easy tilt, and the speakers are built into the awning head. So that when you have the awning open, it will be pointing down toward your campsite, so you're not blowing away the neighbors with your... Why is the name Jethro Tull coming into my head right now? Now, as is almost always the case with the Jayco, there's more under the skin to talk about than you can usually see overtly. Now, this being a more simplified series of trailer, there's especially not a whole lot of razzmatazz going on the roof up here, but there's a few key points I want to look at, like the white AC shroud. It is helping that thing not generate extra heat, which will help this thing cool more effectively, especially on a small trailer like this. I mean, this will be very comfortable in almost any, you know, season you're looking at. Similarly, that white roof line that we're looking at, the membrane here, will help keep this thing nice and cool. It reflects a lot of that sunlight. In case you're curious about the little shark fin, by the way, the jaws look up here. That's your TV antenna. Above the slide out, one of the things that you can't see is they have this big, like 14-inch or whatever micro laminated header beam. The idea behind that, maybe you don't know what that means, but basically they have a bigger block above the slide wall, and that's offering more support so that this roof line right here doesn't bend and sag over time. Also, along that note, the fact that they have a heavier load rating up here than literally anyone else in this class. Rated for like 4,800 pounds roughly or something like that. That's part of Jayco's Magnum Truss roof system. Like thicker roof trusses, and the fact that we're walking on plywood roof decking instead of OSB. So, you know, there's, I mean, Man, no shortage of cool things to look at out there, and good God do we carry quite a few of them here at Haylett RV. There's lots of great RVs. They all have good qualities. That's kind of the thing with the Jayco though. It's more than meets the eye with them. They are not just a surface level brand. They're always a little bit you know, deeper than skin deep. So if you like what you see, if you appreciate the efforts we've gone through here today, all I ask is you give us a call, because we do it all with the exception of hidden dealer fees. We'll leave those to the big box stores. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.